All right, folks, we have some stunning breaking news. A Republican congressman is blowing the whistle, publicly exposing a new insidious development in his own party's ongoing cover up of the Epstein Files, specifically by Donald Trump and Republican Speaker Mike Johnson. And we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, this is stunning stuff. And this is coming from Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, who has been leading the charge in the Republican Party for the public release of the Epstein Files, okay? So he says the government is in shutdown, but the House refuses to go back in session. Why are we in recess? Because the day we go back into session, I have 218 votes for the discharge petition to force a vote on releasing the Epstein Files. Speaker Johnson doesn't want that to be the news. So I want to stop right here for just a second. Here's what he's saying. Look, this government shutdown doesn't necessarily prevent the House of Representatives from being in session to conduct business. But Mike Johnson quickly put the House out of session as the government shutdown was looming near in order to prevent Thomas Massie from forcing a vote on the release of the Epstein Files. And then Mike Johnson continues to delay when the House will return to session because he doesn't want the Epstein Files to be released. So he ended it early and he's delaying the return to prevent this vote. Specifically, by refusing to bring the House back into session in order to swear in a newly elected member of Congress, that 218th signature that Massie is talking about. We'll get to that in a second. But this is a hell of an indictment coming from Thomas Massie against his own party. So he's reminding people, he's like, listen, to people who are complaining, I have the receipts for myself and the current administration during the Biden years. The difference is my position hasn't changed, right? So he's talking about, Don Jr. and Republicans during President Biden's administration were all talking about the release of the Epstein Files, even though Biden and the Democrats never campaigned on releasing the Epstein Files. Thomas Massie was consistent during the Biden years. But after Trump got back into power, the MAGA politicians and MAGA players who demanded the release of the Epstein Files did a 180 as soon as it became politically inconvenient for Trump. Massie goes on to say, get your congressman to sign the discharge petition and quit being a confused dolt. You should be confused why the VP, Attorney General, Director of the FBI, etc., changed their positions, not why I doubled my efforts when I realized everyone else was lying and saw a political solution. So he's calling out people who are like, you're not being consistent. No, I'm not, asshole. I've been perfectly consistent. These MAGA politicians, Donald Trump, they have not been consistent. Okay, so your issue should be with them, not with me. It's a really good point. So again, this call out by Thomas Massie is incredibly important. It's being echoed by Democratic congresspeople as well, like Jamie Raskin, my favorite Democratic congressperson, who's calling out Mike Johnson for this delay because they've identified what the reason really is.
Year started, and it also is not lost on anyone that shutting the government down allows them not to swear in our new colleague, Ms. Grijalva from Arizona, who would be the 218th signature to discharge the Epstein Files and to put a vote on that on the House floor. So it's convenient for them to shut the government down, and they're not interested in making government work for our constituents.
Great point. It's 100% a great point. And he's echoing what Thomas Massie has been explaining, which is that this really is just about, as far as Mike Johnson is concerned, this is about forcing or not allowing the Epstein Files to be released. Now, Johnson was confronted about this yesterday during an interview on Meet the Press, and he vehemently denied it. Of course, not very persuasively. Take a look.
There is, Speaker, still critical work, though. And as you know, many Democrats have looked at your move. They say the House is not in session because you don't want to swear in this newly elected senator, the Democratic Congresswoman from Arizona, who would be a critical vote to releasing the Epstein Files. How do you respond?
It's totally
to that
absurd.
charge?
This has nothing to do with that. It's another red herring. The reason the government is closed is because Chuck Schumer and 43 of his Democrat colleagues in the Senate have decided now to vote multiple times to keep the government closed.
But before you took the House out of session, as we discussed in a previous video, you had the time to swear this person in, or to even do a pro forma session where you could swear her in, as Republicans have been sworn in by Mike Johnson in recent months. So he's breaking his own rule, his own precedent, and bending the rules and changing the timetable in order to avoid doing what he has done time and time again for Republicans, precisely because of what Thomas Massie is exposing, that this would force the release of the Epstein Files. And Mike Johnson is trying to cover for Donald Trump. And who the hell knows who Donald Trump is covering for? His friends, himself, both? But this is the newly elected Democratic Congresswoman in question who's swearing in, who's being seated, is being delayed by Mike Johnson. And she also agrees. She's pretty sure this has to do with the fact that she would be the 218th vote to release the Epstein files.
When you are sworn in, do you intend to sign the discharge petition that would force a vote on the release of the Epstein files?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So I would be 218. And that seems to, I mean, at first I was trying not to be a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
okay.
also have been the same. Like, maybe there's something I'm missing here.
Right. It doesn't have anything to do with these files, but that is literally the only thing I can point to. It's not like me getting sworn in is going to change, now the Democrats will be in the majority. I mean, there are certain things that are not going to change, where Democrats will still be in the minority. That is literally the only thing that is different in, me getting sworn in versus Representative Walkinshaw or Petronas or Fine. They were literally sworn in less than 24 hours after their election.
So those are the Republicans who were sworn in less than 24 hours after their election in pro forma sessions by Mike Johnson in order to pad his Republican majority. But because this is a Democrat, and this Democrat's going to be key to totally screwing him and Trump on the Epstein files, they are purposefully delaying it. So I want to look at some Twitter reactions to this as well. Speaker Mike Johnson delays Representative Adelita Grijalva swearing in amid Epstein files vote push. Mike Johnson has postponed the swearing in of Arizona Democratic Representative-elect Grijalva, who won a special election on September 23rd, and supports a discharge petition with 218 signatures to force a vote on unsealing the Jeffrey Epstein file documents. The delay, now set for at least October 14th, occurs as a partial government shutdown enters its third day due to fiscal disputes between Democrats and Republicans. Grijalva's swearing in would trigger the automatic vote, leading Democrats and some Republicans, including Representative Thomas Massie, to accuse Johnson of prioritizing secrecy over representation and governance. And so again, people are talking about this as well. It's pretty embarrassing for Mike Johnson here in this respect. Today would be a great day for Mike Johnson to finally swear in Grijalva so her district can have representation in Congress for the first time in 7 months. All this so pedo protector Mike can hide the Epstein files from the American public. Not good. Mike Johnson will continue to block a Democratic Congresswoman from getting sworn in so that no one can learn the truth about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. House Republicans would rather keep the government shut down than release the Epstein files. It's not good. Nearly 2 weeks since Grijalva won and MAGA Mike Johnson still hasn't sworn her in. Why? Because she's the deciding vote to release the Epstein files, and they can't let that happen. Oof. Mike Johnson's for maximum disclosure, everyone. You didn't know. Just ignore the countless times he's voted to keep the Epstein files from the American people. Basically, just ignore everything he's ever done until this point. So he's just getting savaged on Twitter. Mike Johnson closed Congress early for 41 days to avoid the Epstein vote. Now that Massie has the 218 members to force an Epstein vote, we're in a shutdown. I'm sure it's a coincidence. Massie will wait them out. Yeah, so folks, it's not good. It's really not good at all. This is... He's getting mocked left, right, and center. Gavin Newsom jumped in. Mike Johnson wants to triple your health care costs. Mike Johnson wants to rip health care away from 20 million people. Mike Johnson's shutdown will cost the American people billions of dollars. Mike Johnson is a sad little man. Indeed, he is. So, folks, there you have it. This is not good. The fact that Thomas Massie is blowing the whistle on this and revealing that this is the reason that Mike Johnson shut the House of Representatives down early, refused to swear in Grijalva during a pro forma session. They actually gavelled out quickly as Democrats were like, whoa, swear her in, swear her in. He declined, even though he did so for Republican Congress people. And you can tell he's panicked about the issue when he's been consistently confronted about it. Is this really about delaying the Epstein files? No, of course not. Of course not. We're in a shutdown. Okay. It's actually not the excuse, not a valid excuse whatsoever. So good on Thomas Massie for calling this out, even though it's accruing great political risk for him. But that just goes to show, even though I'm not particularly fond of the guy, he's probably the only consistent Republican, certainly in the House of Representatives, if not the entirety of the federal government. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.